and we have institutes that are focused more broadly on local health priorities. But when we look at research funding today, the per capita expenditure on health research is less than $1 per Indian per year, which really comes to less than 1% of overall health spending, and a fraction, something like 0.6% of India's GDP. So I think we can do much better. We have room really to invest much more in health research. A lot of the investment now is being made by private industry, by Indian pharma, that's getting into more research and development, moving away from just doing generics to actually doing original research. And there are examples of how India has contributed to global R&D. If you take neglected disease R&D, then we find that India is one of the top 5 global funders of neglected disease research and development, spending about $50 million a year from 2008 to 2013, and coming just behind the US, the UK, the European Commission, and France. And a quarter of all products, drugs, and vaccines that were made for neglected diseases in these 5 years were actually done with Indian help. And we also all know that India is the largest manufacturer of vaccines and of drugs like antiretroviral drugs, which are supplied across the world and which have helped save millions of lives, especially in Africa. So looking ahead at the Indian Council of Medical Research, we are now formulating our vision and a 7-year strategy, which is broadly based on 5 pillars. And a key area and a high priority for me really is evidence to policy, to be done in a more systematic and more time-bound manner. And this includes a health technology assessment program, which we have launched in collaboration with the NICE International in the UK and with HITAP, which is a very effective program in Thailand, which is a health interventions technology assessment program. And as you do this, you identify knowledge gaps. And this can then be filled by undertaking research on those gaps. And implementation research or implementation science is going to be a particular focus for us, because very often we have wonderful programs on paper, wonderful policies that have been written out, but when you get to the ground level, you find that they don't deliver what we were expected to. And sometimes the challenges are just plainly logistical and practical, but sometimes there are issues which can only be fixed by looking at different ways of solving, and that's what implementation research is all about. So that's going to be our second major pillar that we hope we can work very closely with the Ministry of Health to ask them, hey guys, what are your challenges, and actually is it an immunization coverage issue, or is it the fact that even though we have a good TB control program, we still have 2 Indians dying every 3 minutes of tuberculosis? I mean, why should this happen in this day and age? And we've been successful in using some of the Global Fund grant money that's come to India to actually do implementation research in TB, and I understand this is the first time a country's actually systematically used Global Fund grant to fund implementation research that's going to inform the TB program directly. The third pillar is improving data systems and creating health data repositories. We have a wealth of data that's collected by different agencies, different ministries, surveys, surveillance. It's all sitting in different places. And if you really want to get your hands on something, you have to run around, getting permission from various people, and you're exhausted by the end of it. So one of our goals is to create these data repositories of health data, where the ICMR can be the holder of all health data, which is then made available to people to do secondary data analysis, to do collaborative research, and ultimately to make every researcher in India who's funded using public funds, make them deposit their data into this repository, which will go along, which will be consistent with global open access sort of philosophy that's now being adopted across the world. Our fourth pillar is really trying to leverage our knowledge base in traditional systems of medicine, like Ayurveda, like Siddha, Yoga, which have been used for centuries and which are documented, just like the Chinese systems of medicine, but which have been less subjected to rigorous evaluation. And so by using rigorous scientific methods and clinical trials and so on to validate some of these traditional practices, we hope to be able to offer something new to the world, and perhaps even, and with some new drug discovery, particularly for problems like antimicrobial resistance and drug-resistant pathogens. There may be solutions in those herbal medicines that we haven't explored yet. And finally, but perhaps most importantly, we want to build and create the next generation of biomedical and health researchers in India. Research is not the first career option for a doctor who's graduating out of medical school. It doesn't come naturally to people. And I think part of the reason is that there isn't that exposure and there isn't the understanding of what a career in research could be like. And so we've instituted student summer scholarships and fellowships for both undergraduate and postgraduate medical students who can spend time in a research lab, get mentored, actually see what a life in research could be like, and hopefully inspire some of them at least to get into medical research. India has about 450 medical colleges, about half of them are government and half of them are private medical schools. But the research output from the majority of these medical schools could be vastly improved. And so again, supporting young faculty in these medical schools to work on local health problems. So one of the programs that we've created now is to set up these multidisciplinary research units and model rural health research units, where we fund infrastructure, fund equipment, fund core research staff, and encourage the young faculty in the medical schools to take advantage of that to undertake, to carry out some research. Another recent initiative I should mention, especially as I see my friends from USAID here, is that we've launched what we call the India-Africa Health Science Partnership, where we invited scientists from African countries to come to India. We had an overwhelming response. We had people from 27 countries. This was in response to our Prime Minister Modi actually having a big India-Africa summit last year, where 54 heads of state came to India, and India promised a lot of aid for Africa, and some of that is in health assistance. And we thought that we could really leverage this to build links, the South-South, so-called South-South links. And I think we can learn a lot from Africa and what's happened in many of the countries there, and actually innovations in health systems. And Africa can, I'm sure, learn a lot from us. And so there was tremendous enthusiasm. We had 13 ministers at this event, and the African ministers actually stayed right through from day 1 to day 3, listening, going around the exhibition, asking we had an exhibition of health innovations, the kits, lab kits, which are solar powered and which can be carried around in a suitcase, a motorcycle ambulance, and lots of other things. And so there was a lot of excitement, and we're looking forward very much to working with international partners in this. So there's no doubt about the fact that global partnerships are key, that no country can do anything on their own. And so while we could have our own vision and strategy, I think global partnerships will help us move that much faster ahead, and it's going to be ultimately the health of populations around the world that are going to benefit. So finally, I would like to congratulate this year's Blue Prize winner, Dr. Wong, for actually having used the data to improve the health of populations in the Philippines, and very inspiring to meet people like this. And again, congratulations to David and Barbara Rue for giving this opportunity to recognize people from around the world. And thank you very much.